Captain.
There you are. Hey, how you doing?
All right, hang on. Okay, we are now on air on Revolution Radio and Wall Spirit Radio. Here is Captain Sean Morton with this week's report from inside.
What's up?
How are you?
All right, brothers. Got a lot of stuff to cover, so I'm just going to talk really fast and go all the way through it. And first thing I want to say thank you. I'm very sorry I missed last week. It was very busy. One of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to post to you a request to President Trump for a pardon for myself and Melissa. And hopefully if everybody can just print it out and mail it themselves to the president, maybe we can get some traction on that. Because, once again, in everything that was done here, we never disagreed with the voluntary income tax system of the United States, not ever. There were no damages to the government. There were no victims, no nothing. So, how they managed to do this, it's terrible. And I've just been working on my appeal. So there's that. All right. If you'll notice that California is being destroyed. I told everybody years ago that if I was to ever leave California, that California would be destroyed. And that's exactly what's going on. I predicted that you would have these massive fires up and down the state, which were going to be precursors for massive earthquakes in San Francisco and Los Angeles. Now, these may take a few years, but here's the interesting part about it. Let me get metaphysical and spiritual on you here. There are angelic forces on the planet that have, I guess, what you would call bases or vortexes. And what these do is these communicate with a universal, I guess, angelic or cosmic communication system throughout the galaxy that's connected through what they call seraphim communication angels, six-winged angels that park themselves around the planet that they actually transmit communications to, I guess, what you would call the throne of God at Galactic Center. Two of the major bases of these angelic forces are the Archangel Gabriel of communication, which is in Banff, Canada, and the Archangel Michael, which is in Mount Shasta, California. Now, in 1987, the negative forces in California simply overwhelmed the angelic forces, and the Archangel Michael energy left Mount Shasta. Now, I felt it. Elizabeth Clare Prophet felt it. Many other psychics and intuitive people felt it. Matter of fact, it led Elizabeth Clare Prophet to sell 600 acres of beachfront property in Malibu and pull her entire Church Universal and Triumphant to Wyoming, I think it is, or so. Shirley MacLaine also listening to Elizabeth Clare Prophet, and a lot of the prophecies of people like Gordon Michael Scallion and Lori Toy also sold everything they had and went out to move to New Mexico. In 1989, I visited Mount Shasta for the first time and found that not only the angelic energy was gone, but this beautiful mansion. It's like this wonderful estate was inhabited by demons and hobos, and I mean it was horrible. I threw up and tried to take a group of people there because you can work the energy of Northern California from Mount Shasta. And I took a group there and we beat a drum and we did whatever it is we could. And that was October 1st of 1989 because my prediction was that there would be a massive earthquake in San Francisco the last 2 weeks of October of that year. And, of course, the earthquake happened 17 days later. Now, my monks in Nepal, through my telepathic communication with them, told me that we were successful in simply managing to push the energy of the earthquake about 60 miles south of San Francisco to a place called Hollister. So what's happening now is that the Archangel Michael energy has left Mount Shasta again. And this happened at the same time that the government started attacking me, and people like Winston Shroud and Brandon Adams and his brother Garrett and Gordon Hall and all the other people that the government has attacked and destroyed that were out there trying to tell people the truth. So the bottom line is that in order to work, somebody has to go to Mount Shasta and actually bring back the energy. Now, in 1994, I took another group of people there, and we reignited the angelic force in Shasta. And there were people at the bottom of the hill that drew pictures of it, and there was like a little kid that was the son of a friend of mine who drew this egg, this sparkling violet egg of the whole energy being revived. And that energy has disappeared again, and that's why all these fires started in Redding, which is basically gone. Yellowstone's been closed, and these are all precursors to what I've predicted as a massive earthquake in Los Angeles, which would destroy the LA basin via an earthquake. I kept saying that there was going to be a worldwide event, a worldwide sporting event that would be happening in LA at that time. That I saw there would be a heat wave also, and that there would be a huge statue of like a tower with an angel with what looked like a flaming sword on top of it, just to the west of the downtown Los Angeles skyline. now that actually in that time, we've now got the World Cup is coming to Los Angeles, the Olympics are coming to Los Angeles, and all of this renovation is occurring. All this renovation is occurring. So watch to see if they don't build that tower. As I said, that angel tower with the flaming sword just to the west of LA. The quake itself.
Call is from a federal prison.
The quake itself happens in the Santa Monica Bay, and then creates a tidal wave that basically just washes water all the way in through Hollywood, Beverly Hills, and just kind of washes it away. Now, the way to stop it is that there's a place called Santa Cruz Island, which is in the Channel Islands just off the coast of Ventura, and there's a place called Scorpion Ranch. And that area is an ancient Lemurian temple site, and you can work all the energy of Southern California from that particular site. But it takes people who know what they're doing. Actually, the last time I went there, which also was before it was before the Northridge quake. It was actually in November. I took Geshe Gyeltsen, who was my teacher and a personal Tibetan teacher of the Dalai Lama. I took an Ojibwa shaman named John Two Birds. We took a whole boatload of people out there. Which was the November before the Northridge quake, to try to ameliorate that energy. A couple of things. Also, you're going to have a massive focus of attention on soul music, on race relations, on Detroit with the upcoming death of Aretha Franklin, which is going to happen within about the next 2 weeks. Now, let me give you some interesting financial stuff. One of the guys in here is actually the former CEO of Argent Securities. And I asked him about cryptocurrency, and he talked about how cryptocurrency, that they were investing in Ripple, that something called Ripple was actually going to be the cryptocurrency that was going to be the base standard currency for transfers for all the banking systems and all the various banking structures. Now, the biggest thing that I really have to talk about now is the stuff that QAnon is now becoming a big major public deal, and with people were appearing with signs about QAnon at the last Trump rally, and basically two of the most powerful and corrupt financial centers in the world are eminently at risk of being pulled down and completely uprooted, and that's the Vatican is one of them, and the affiliate is the City in London. Now, what people don't realize is that the City, or Citibank, and Chase and all that stuff, that was all based on a stolen Romanov family fortune. When the Tsar and his family, who, remember, were cousins of Kaiser Wilhelm and Queen Victoria, and Edward at the time, were begging for asylum in other countries, they denied it because there was $7.4 billion. This was in 1919. $7.4 billion that the Romanovs had invested in mostly British banks, which basically they said, what did happen is they actually faked the death of the Romanovs, but they said the bottom line is we've got to fake your death. You're going to give up your money, give up any royalty, whatever, and they spread them out across Europe, which also explains Anastasia. But the plan is to remove the ruling elite cabal from power in the world, and don't expect this outcome to be too long in coming. Now, it's really, to me, because over and over and over again, QAnon has talked about how storm is coming, and that storm is the collapse of the City of London and the Vatican as these central instruments created by the cabal, the ruling elite, to assist their organization and their basic plan to rule the world. Well, QAnon says the storm is coming, and then Trump takes a big picture with all of his staff or a whole bunch of people, and Trump himself says the storm is coming. Actually says the photo op, the storm is coming. So the fascinating part about this is going to be the elitists have always detested Republican form, refused to be bound by laws that are applicable to common people, and the loss of either of these citadels of refuge of the elitists would be historic in the truest sense of the world. Now, this may also come, mind you, in the possible either resignation or like a sabbatical or something for Pope Francis. Pope Francis has managed to now piss off not only the Jesuits, of which he's a member of that order, but also the Knights of Malta. And the Knights of Malta control all the intelligence agencies. They were the ones behind 9/11. They were the ones that needed a war between the cross and the crescent against Islam. So if you think of that, the biggest thing that Trump is going to be able to do is that the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System only has 3 members right now. And the chairman and vice chairman of the board are appointees of Trump. So 2 out of those 3. And the third city governor was appointed in 2014 by Obama. There's a good chance they get rid of him. So 4 vacancies exist on the 7-member board, which Trump plans to fill really soon. And the the president's appointees already have control of the Fed board, but the Pope is going to add board members to assist in the work to be done, which includes a currency reset and ending the Fed. Now, you know that I've not been a person that's been a big fan of currency resets or any of that stuff, but something's definitely going to occur here pretty soon, because the practical fact is that the world, which is led by the BRICS alliance of nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, is already well along the roads towards basically abandoning the Federal Reserve note as any sort of acceptable payment for products sold in international trade. They're just tired of being cheated by this sham currency that we pretend to be U.S. dollars and the scheme perpetrated through the whole Rothschild, Rockefeller central bank Fed system. So the world is going to have a system of money with stable value, almost assuredly measured in and exchangeable for gold, which is why we're trying to figure out how much gold we have, get all the gold back, figure out where the gold was stolen on 9/11 out of the Federal Reserve Bank in New York went. Gold's a reliable measuring stick, because gold's never going to be worth nothing. So one of President Trump's challenges is to put America into a new stable money system that's going to be acceptable. And at the same time, he could possibly pay off this ridiculous $21 trillion debt. And we need to basically, Trump wants our money system to be acceptable and admired by the rest of the world. And doing that is going to require first doing two things. First, he needs to move the U.S. foreign trade current account towards balance. In other words, export value equals imports value. He's well on his way to doing that. It's already almost 60 plus billion that we've made up in trade deficits, which we're progressing on well. Remember, all this wealth that China has, the $500 billion and the new roads and the trains and everything else, that's our money that the Chinese stole. And secondly, he's going to have to cover as much of the stolen assets of the U.S. government as possible, including the gold that was taken from Fort Knox, trillions of dollars embezzled through government accounts, $23 trillion just lost in the military, trillions more in graft taken by government.
This call is from a federal prison.
And all these items are targets of the presidential executive order, which was effective December 21st of 2017, which declared a national emergency arising from human trafficking and corruption, which basically froze all the assets of parties involved in such activities. Now, my prediction is going to carry out as to be true, where Kavanaugh is going to be the next Supreme Court justice. Bader Ginsburg, the next one to fall, and I wouldn't be surprised if he replaces Bader Ginsburg with the, I forget her name, Moy. She's the lady with the 7 kids. She was one of the top four reserve people that he wanted to put up there. So the minute Trump has control of the Federal Reserve Board, and the minute he has overwhelming control of the Supreme Court, which should happen within the next year or so, and I also think there's going to be a red wave this fall. All this nonsense about the Socialist Democrats and all that, you will notice that I think 9 out of the 10 primaries were all won by Republicans, which means it's a red wave, not a blue wave. So the bottom line of all this is Trump has these very considerable challenges, which are better confronted with the Federal Reserve Board of Governors, which is going to be appointed by Trump. Financial events with both historic importance and immediate risk are directly ahead of us in the near future, which could mean a complete devaluation or a gutting of the Federal Reserve note, because the plan to master our challenges appear to be on course. This is the storm. The storm is coming that Trump said publicly, mouthing what QAnon has been saying. So everybody's got to be prepared for bumps in the road. They've probably got it. Once again, the cryptocurrencies are going to go crazy. Look at Ripple. Silver is going to be one of the best investments out there because of solar panels and the fact that we've just run out of silver. But those people that are going to be dethroned from positions of power are going to try to make the process as painful as possible for all of us. But most of the pain from this time forward is going to run in the direction of the bad guys. There you go. All that 15 minutes.
Very well done.
So there it is. So once again, kids, I'm working desperately on my appeal. Anybody that wants to write to me, it's Sean Morton, P.O. Box.
I'll put it in the links. Sean. I'll put it in the links.
Okay, put
and I'll post your letter in the links.
If anybody wants to help send me capital, they can. The number here is 730-55112. And, $20, $30, $40, $50, it helps if you can send Western Union or www.moneygram.com. You can't, it's for literally like food and, toothpaste and things like that.
Sean, best of luck to you and best of luck. Great report. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Well, I hope to be out of here, but hope to.
And there he goes.